All right, everybody, what is going on? Good late morning, and since the draft is over, it's time to take a look at the Seattle Seahawks roster and put together a depth chart projection. So, I usually do videos like this a couple times throughout the year, just good checkpoints to try to evaluate where the team is sitting and basically just give my projection of what the roster will end up looking like based on where we are right now. So we're going to go position by position. As you can see, I'm doing the depth chart itself, the top 53, the injured list, because we are going to have some guys that are going to linger on into the season injured. And then I also projected a practice squad, although I wouldn't take that overly seriously right now because there are going to be a lot of guys competing for practice squad spots that we don't even really know about right now. So a lot of these guys are just kind of carryovers from the last year's team in some way or another. And we need the opportunity to see who actually steps forward during training camp. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. More on them a little bit later, but let's go ahead and start with quarterback. Pretty obvious. Sam Darnold starting. Drew Lock is the backup. Jalen Milroe as the third stringer. I guess if Milroe steps forward this year in camp and looks like he's actually ready to play NFL football, you could look to trade Drew Lock or even release him and save some money, but I don't know if we're there yet with Milroe. So I'm keeping Lock until further notice because I think Lock is actually a pretty good backup. And I don't have anybody on the practice squad. You don't necessarily need a practice squad quarterback when you're carrying three already. Running back, Jadarian Price, I do think will be the nominal lead back. He may not actually start, but I think he'll end up being the featured guy, if not immediately, then by like week 7 or something. George Halani is next, and then Emmanuel Wilson is my third. And Charbonnet starts the season on the injured list because there's no way he'll be ready for week 1, I don't think. So I'm anticipating he misses the first couple months. Now, this doesn't leave room for Kenny McIntosh. Honestly, I don't know if we'd actually put McIntosh on the practice squad. I think he could make it there because he's done so little in his career. I don't think a lot of teams would be pouncing on him. But given the fact that he's battled through so many major injuries already, you might just let him go and get somebody who's a little, got a little bit more to prove and is a little bit more of an unknown quantity. And then Jacardia Wright, I think you could get him back on the practice squad pretty easily, and he's a good practice squad running back. Fullback, Robbie Oots and Brady Russell. Now, obviously, you're not going to actually carry two fullbacks, but Brady Russell's a very valuable special teamer, so I did put him here because I think this team is going to want to have him. Really, he's a tight end, but I decided to list him here just to keep the chart a little bit easier to read. Wide receiver, JSN, Cooper Kupp, Jake Bobo, Rashid Shaheed, Torrey Horton, Cody White. So that's pretty set in stone, except for maybe Cody White. Maybe Ricky White, Henderson, or Broden. Well, probably not Broden, but I'd say White and Henderson. White the third, Ricky White, could push Cody White. But Cody White's actually made some nice plays in the NFL so far. He's made good catches. He's made plays on special teams. I don't think he's just going to give it up for free. So to me, these 5 guys are in concrete, and White is the one guy who's maybe competing a little bit, but as of the moment, I still give him a leg up unless money becomes a consideration here. You could save a little bit of money by promoting someone like Ricky White or Henderson. If you like sports, the best way to make them better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks, all you got to do is pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. It's the daily fantasy stuff, but it's made super easy over there. Whatever sport you're into, give it a shot. And right now, Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All you have to do is use promo code HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing very easy, and it makes watching the games way more exciting. Be sure to check out the social feeds feature so you can share lineups with your friends and tail partners or even fade their picks. Right now, Prize Picks is offering odds on the NFL draft. You have who's going to go where, what each team is going to do, how many of each position is going to go in each round, and so on and so on. Get on over to Prize Picks. Take advantage of that. So, download Prize Picks today, America's #1 sports app, and remember to use the promo code HMA. And remember, always gamble responsibly. Okay, tight end, we've got AJ Barner in the lead. Of course, Arroyo bumps up to #2 this year. If he doesn't, we've got a big problem. And Saubert lingers around as a nice blocking tight end to have as tight end 3. You've got Nick Collerup on the practice squad. Imagine he sticks around. Maybe the Wisconsin guy takes his spot, but I'm not going to fret too much about that. The offensive line is where things get interesting. So left tackle is Charles Cross and Josh Jones. That's easy. Left guard, Zabel starts, but I'm going to put Stevens as the backup left guard because he mostly played left guard in college. A lot of people think he's going to move to right guard. He could, but I'll leave him at left guard for now until we start seeing him practice as a right guard. That's going to have to be something that gets felt out. And for the moment, I have Mason Richmond listed as the practice squad left guard, but position on the practice squad doesn't matter that much. Now you've got Jalen Sundell and Olu Oluwatimi at center. And then you've got the international guy we have. Remember, Federico Moranguez, the international pipeline guy on the practice squad. Remember, we get a free spot for him, so we may as well keep him around. And then you have Anthony Bradford starting at right guard with Christian Haynes backing him up. And then you've got Bryce Cabledew on the practice squad. And this is one thing that I think we need to talk about real quick. I think you need to get Cabledew either on the active roster or you need to put him on the injured list because he still might be injured from what happened last year. So if he starts the year on the injured list, then that's one thing. That's pretty easy. You just throw him over here. But I don't think he survives the practice squad. So I think you need to either trade Olu Oluwatimi or trade Christian Haynes for whatever you can get. Haynes is probably worth like a 7th round pick or a 6th at best. Oluwatimi might be worth a little bit more than that because he's actually proven to be a decent player in this league. But I think you move one of those two guys and then you promote Cabledew to the main roster, and then you have your 10 offensive linemen. Because I think we lose Cabledew if we actually put him on the practice squad. And then right tackle is Abe Lucas and Amari Kite. And if Amari Kite's still recovering from his injury when the season starts, then that makes life easier as well. You can put Kite on the injured list and then just put Cabledew on the active roster. But I think Kite will come back eventually, even if he's not already back. Defense now. Nose tackle, and I know these guys aren't really nose tackles, but we use them as a nose tackle. I go Byron Murphy and Jaron Reed with Brandon Peely on the practice squad. I did not have room for him on the 53. And I do think that Peely, maybe you could make room for him, but for the moment, I left him off. Defensive tackle, so this is like your 3-tech. You've got Big Cat, you've got Riley Mills backing him up, and then you've got Mike Morris, who maybe could be a casualty because he's getting a little bit more expensive, and he doesn't play a lot, but I think we like him on special teams. Remember, this team really cares about special team stuff. So to me, if they can keep Morris around, even if it costs them a roster spot on a guy who doesn't really play on defense, they're going to try to. So now you get to edge rusher, DeMarcus Lawrence, Derek Hall, Uchenna Nwosu. That's easy. The 4th guy right now for me is Jared Ivey, but it could easily be Connor O'Toole, easily be Jamie Sheriff. Jalen Gaines could get pulled in as well. But I think what's going to happen here is that we sign Dante Fowler Jr. or somebody similar, and then Ivy gets pushed to the practice squad. So at that point, you've actually got 4 edge rushers you can believe in, that you're going to trust going out there for you. And remember, there's some other stuff that can happen here too. Like Big Cat can play a little bit on the edge, so can Riley Mills, so can Mike Morris, but you're not really enthused about that, I don't think, but you can make it work. You could even bring 2 edge rushers in and go 5 deep at the position. So that's edge rusher. Again, I think that we are going to be getting a veteran, and that pushes Ivy to the practice squad. And if he gets snatched up, then it's too bad. But I don't think he will. He hasn't really done anything yet. Inside linebacker, Ernest Jones and Drake Thomas start. Tyrese Knight is the backup. Patrick O'Connell, I think, is your 4th linebacker. Maybe you push him to the practice squad so you can protect somebody like Peely or Cabledew. Maybe. It's at least possible. And you just roll with 3 linebackers. And then you've got Chaz Surratt, who I know we like for special teams. But unless he replaces O'Connell, I don't know if there's room for him on this roster as it sits right now. Maybe that's the play. Maybe Surratt takes O'Connell's place because of special teams. But I think O'Connell has proven that we kind of like him as a linebacker. And you do want to provide yourself that opportunity to have someone you trust that can play. Cornerback now. Cornerback is tricky. Witherspoon, sure. Job is your other starter. I think that Neal is going to be the third string, the first guy off the bench on the outside. So he'll have a chance to play some. So then you've got what's going on behind here. You've got Nehemiah Pritchett, who I currently have here, but I think his roster spot is on thin ice. You've got Fuller, the Toledo guy that we drafted. I have him making the team for now. I get the sense this team likes him, and I think they're going to be willing to do whatever it takes to keep him, including, by the way, you may notice, I have Igbenogany not listed. I don't think he'll want to be on the practice squad, by the way, so I didn't even put him there. I think that Igbenogany, while he is an intriguing player, ultimately just doesn't do enough to actually make this team. I think that he's just an emergency guy, and we're going to be satisfied with the fact that we came away from the draft with two corners, Neal and Fuller, that we like, and we're going to rock with that. And in case we didn't get the corners we wanted in the draft, Igbenogany was there. And then I have Dansby on the practice squad because he does have some unique and fun talents. I just don't think he's ready to be on an active roster right now. I just don't see that. So hopefully he makes it to the practice squad, but there is some fun stuff with him that I want to keep around. All right, so that's outside corner. Nickel corner is going to be Eman Wari starting, obviously. And then I put D'Anthony Bell as your backup nickel. He's also a kind of a safety. So you get a little bit of flexibility there. But when I think of Bell, I think of him more as a special teamer and nickel corner than I do safety. So I just threw him here. Doesn't really too much either way. Either way, he's on the team and it's fine. Safety, free safety. And remember, the safety spots are kind of meaningless on this team because both safeties are expected to play somewhat similarly. Ty Okada with Bud Clark behind him. And then I have Rodney Thomas on the practice squad. As a veteran, he might not want to be on a practice squad, but I don't think there's room for him on this team. And then strong safety, I have Julian Love. And then I have AJ Finley behind him. That's a guy we seem to like, but I don't think there's room for him. And then when you throw in the kicker, Myers, the punter, Dixon, and the long snapper, Stoll, that's 53. So understand that the reason why I let go some of the players I let go is because I didn't have more room. I want to protect Cable Dew, but I didn't have room with the way the roster is currently made up. I want to have McIntosh on the team, but I can't make room for it. In order to make room, you're going to have to do something maybe a little bit painful, like only carry 3 linebackers. Or maybe cut D'Anthony Bell and take the hit on special teams, or maybe only carry 3 edges, which seems like a really bad idea to me, or maybe you cut Mike Morris and hope he doesn't hurt you on special teams. But this is kind of where I am right now, and we'll see how things go as the offseason beats along here. But that's 53 out of 53 roster spots. It's also 16 out of 17 practice squad spots. I do have one more. Like I said, though, I think we're going to sign a veteran edge, and then Jared Ivey gets pushed to the practice squad. So if and when that happens, you have all 17. Okay, so that is where things sit right now in my book. Obviously, the reality will be at least somewhat different because nobody ever nails this stuff on the head, especially this far in advance. We haven't even had rookie minicamp yet. But this is the way I see things shaking out right now. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys see things differently. I know I'm just a floating head here, but this is me doing the best that I can. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will be seeing you guys soon with more videos.